Politico reports in a devastating piece this morning, new poll goes deep on Kamala Harris's liabilities and strengths as a potential president. Politico writes this morning that their poll reveals just 3 of 5 Democrats believe she would win an election were she to become the Democratic nominee. Only a quarter of independents thinks that she would win. Christopher Caldago is with us. He is the California bureau chief at Politico. Christopher, appreciate it. Great piece. Is there any recognition, right, inside the Democratic Party of how polarizing, I guess to put it generously, toxic maybe to be more accurate, in certain circles, Kamala Harris is?
Certainly not in comments that we hear on the record from the party. And there's some similarities when you look at Kamala Harris's numbers and President Biden's numbers, in that they are both well underwater and they're both unpopular. And then it certainly raises the question, well, is she being pulled down because of him? Is she being viewed sort of through the prism of the entire administration and the entire Biden term? Folks are obviously unhappy with costs, with a whole bunch of issues, really kind of a chaotic world that we're in right now with the wars going on. And so it's a difficult time to lead at every level of government. And we're certainly seeing that reflected in Kamala Harris's numbers. But to answer your question more directly, we are not seeing that kind of conversation reflected among folks within the Democratic Party necessarily. And so we are headed toward this election, increasingly getting closer to these debates and the conventions with the ticket that Democrats.
Yeah, no, this is the ticket that it is. And conventional wisdom says, right, you can't replace her because she's a black woman, and forget that that sort of implies that the only reason she's on the ticket is because she is a black woman, which may be saying the quiet part out loud. But if you think about really where we're at, Democrats say Donald Trump winning would be the potential end of the democracy, right? That this is an existential threat to America if Donald Trump wins. Not you saying that, that's what Democrats say. Wouldn't it be incumbent upon them to pick the person who gives Joe Biden absolutely the best chance to win? And is that, or is there polling that indicates that that's Kamala Harris?
I don't know that there's polling indicating that. I think that the first issue for Democrats is their nominee, their candidate, their president is Joe Biden, and Joe Biden is at the top of the ticket. We have seen the chatter from the Republicans. You'll remember Nikki Haley, someone who was very, very vocal about trying to make this race a referendum on Kamala Harris. We're not seeing that level of discussion coming, at least yet, from Donald Trump. Donald Trump is mostly focused on Joe Biden. And so at the moment, the public is mostly focused on Joe Biden. I mean, Kamala Harris, there is a potential for her to be pulled deeper into this race. But for now, she's kind of doing her thing. She's out there campaigning to various constituencies within the Democratic Party. And we just thought it was important to take a look at her from a polling perspective and to go much deeper into these attributes and what do people see right now.
I think it's a great point, Christopher, because the more there's a focus on Joe Biden's health, right, the more there's a focus not only on can he do the campaign, but can he do another 4 years? Because Joe Biden today is not the same Joe Biden as 4 years ago, certainly won't be the same Joe Biden is a year from now. There's going to be more and more focus on Kamala Harris. And you think about the various ways the White House has really tried to build her portfolio. Borders are expanding voting rights, COVID-19 vaccinations, workers' rights, closing the digital divide, abortion rights, black voter outreach, all of her many hats. You could argue whether she's done well on any of those, but there's something about her personality. And, you know, she didn't make it out of even to Iowa in her own presidential campaign. She certainly didn't make it out of Iowa. She certainly didn't make it to South Carolina, where the black vote decided things for Joe Biden. She's tried to sort of explain away some of those things, including a lot of focus on, and it is superficial, but it's this is a TV game. This is the Super Bowl. Her laugh. Take a listen.
Apparently, some people love to talk about the way I laugh.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
I love your laugh.
Well, let me just tell you something. I have my mother's laugh. Oh. And I grew up around a bunch of women in particular who laughed from the belly. Yeah. They laughed.
Okay, so there that is. What's the plan when the focus does go on to Kamala Harris?
It's a really good question. I think what we've seen over the last couple years is folks acknowledge that these positions she was given early on, the way she comported herself, a few interviews that people point to, did not go as planned, did not go the way they wanted them to. I think a lot of folks, including folks in the Harris camp, feel like these last couple of years have been a lot better.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.